And so what I want to do is kind of walk through each pillar at a very high level, and then there's some few that I'll go into in a little bit more detail. So again, Bridge, BRIDGE, is the framework, and the B is for baseline risks and KRIs, or key risk indicators. This helps identify maybe your top 10 enterprise risks and pairing each risk with some sort of early warning signal. Again, this really kind of helps you understand what the gaps or the risks are. And if these things occur, what are some things that we can do to identify it early, but then how we can actually address some of those specific risks. R is risk appetite. And this is clear because a lot of companies don't really understand risk into like a one-page, board or executive approved statement that really just, clearly identifies what are your limits, what are your triggers, that if things go beyond these thresholds, you need to take some sort of action. I is integrate controls, and that's where you embed a risk ownership directly into these frontline components. Not just the risk team, anyone in marketing, anyone in finance, anyone in legal and compliance, technology, everyone should have a stake in the process. D is for dashboards. I know many companies put out a lot of different reports. Some of them are canned reports, but sometimes people don't actually really truly read and review a lot of these reports on a day-to-day basis. And so these dashboards are just a concise, again, of risk indicators or performance indicators that can be displayed in a number of different ways to really help you understand how things are performing. You can have a kind of like a traffic light threshold where you have the red, yellow, and green. You can have trend arrows that kind of go up and down, and so you can see how things are performing. There's a number of different tools at your disposal, but what it does is it helps leadership see what matters at a glance. And then again, if you see something moving, then you'll be able to address it accordingly. G, which is another critical component, is governance. And that's where you have these lean policies, procedures, processes that are documented, that they're followed, that they're reviewed. It could be a playbook that you have in place. And again, making sure everyone understands what's in that playbook, what are the steps, what are the expected outcomes, and also to make sure that you can have some of these processes in place without a lot of bureaucratic overload. And we'll talk a little bit about that later in terms of the bureaucracy that could be an impact. But again, you want to understand that you want to, at every level, be able to understand what those risks are, and again, be able to make adjustments accordingly. And then E is execute cadence, right? So again, with any of these processes and things that you want, strategies or things that you want to implement, making sure that you execute them accordingly. And then what I have what I call a 10-10-10 model, which is basically you have a 10-minute weekly huddle, again, just to make sure that you walk through a lot of these different components. You review the 10 different risk indicators or other metrics that you want to use to help you measure, and then assign 10 actions again with each one of them. So in case you see them, rear their ugly head, you'll be able to, again, react quickly and make the proper adjustments. And together, these pillars transform risk management from more of a compliance checkbox into more of a growth and development mindset within your business as well. And as you can see from the image that I created, you can kind of see that, even with limited resources, you see all the risks down here. This bridge kind of gets you above what those risks are. So then that way, you can make the proper decisions, gain the appropriate amount of information, and really be able to get ahead of these risks, be more proactive than reactive. And this helps you from